Thank you. No, at the last meeting of this subcommittee, we received, an update on the situation in Sudan, and one of the witnesses spoke about the difference in Canada's response to the conflicts in Sudan and Ukraine, in terms of how we accept people that are being displaced. No, Mr. Diamond from the Royal Wallenberg Center for Human Rights noted that not a single Sudanese displaced person had been resettled since the launch of a financially burdensome program in February that was capped at 3,250 people, was released by the government. Now, he compared that to the approval of nearly 1 million people under an emergency family reunification program for Ukraine that required no eligibility or financial requirements. And Mr. Diamond stated, quote, that this widely disparate response to the war in Ukraine and to Sudan is a scandal of the first order and can only be explained by a discriminatory and frankly racist implementation of policy towards communities fleeing conflict, end quote. Do you believe there is systemic racism in Canada's refugee intake policies? And if so, what can be done to ensure Canada implements inclusive policies in this area?
So yes, there's definitely systemic discrimination within the context, and the previous speaker has also referred to this in terms of the disparities in the responses. I think that we also need to recognize, however, that the program for Ukrainians was a temporary visa program. It was not a permanent resettlement program, whereas the Sudanese program is a resettlement program. It's a program that's bringing people permanently here. That being said, I agree with you that it's unfair to place the burden on families who already are working, in many cases, lower wage jobs in Canada, and then need to find the funds in order to rescue their families to come over from Sudan, and that we should also be opening up a government-assisted refugee program. And we should also be considering temporary visas, as we did for Ukrainians, for other displacement contexts, because currently the only other context where we're considering this is Gaza. So we think about other protracted conflicts in other places, and we could be thinking about a humanitarian visa, which would allow more people to come to Canada temporarily, as we did with the Ukrainians.